All right, guys, I got a hot take for you. Pumpkin pie is just way better than apple pie.
Hey Zach, you're doing the wrong video. Estimated repair costs.
Oh, shoot.
Stay on point.
Sorry, guys. My real hot take here is you don't need to be an expert contractor to be really good at estimating repair costs as a real estate wholesaler. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to estimate repair costs as a real estate wholesaler so you can devalue the property with your seller, so you can understand how to get the best prices possible with your sellers, and it will help you actually create your ARVs really well when going to the cash buyer. So in this video, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown on actually estimating repair costs. Estimating repair costs. I've said this before. You don't need to be this expert house flipper or contractor to really understand repair costs. I don't want to get in a long story about my first real estate wholesaling deal at 17, but I didn't know jack squat about real estate or house flipping or repairs. Honestly, I was just a pretty dumb 17-year-old kid. I didn't know how much it cost to change flooring. I didn't know what stucco cracks were. I didn't know really anything about real estate. And I got my first $20,000 deal just knowing nothing. Again, you don't have to be an expert in this business. If you can solve someone's problem with a cash sale as a real estate wholesaler, that's all you really need to get your first deal. But it does help if you do know repair costs, so you sound more knowledgeable with your sellers. You can really get good estimates with them. And again, it will probably help you get extra deals, but don't think you have to be this expert repair guy. But overall, when you're looking at a real estate piece of property, it's best to know what things cost. So in this video, again, I'm really going to help you with the general knowledge of the cost of repairs. Really, this isn't an exact science because every real estate property is different. The more deals you do, the more you start to figure that out. But overall, let's take an outside view of real estate for a second. If we see a house, there's actually 4 categories most pieces of real estate are. Number 1, they're perfect. They're literally immaculate condition. The thing literally just got built. The builders was just done like a week ago. The thing is a beautiful castle. Think about like the White House or the Taj Mahal. Those things need no work at all. Second, we got the light rehab. You know, it needs a little bit of updating. The property is extremely clean. From the naked eye, it really doesn't need much work. It may be here and there, very tiny amount of work. And then we got the average rehab. Most properties, let's say you just go into Miami or you go into a regular place in South Florida here, it's going to need the average cleanup. You know, probably have to update the floors, the kitchen. It needs a little bit of work. Maybe the roof has to be replaced. And then at the end, we have the complete dumps. These are the properties that are literally nightmares. The hoarders' houses, the super scary looking ones that look like haunted houses. They're abandoned. They've been vacant for years. These pieces of properties need the most work. And as a real estate wholesaler, the worse condition the property is, the more excited I get. And I've done it before. I've showed you actually how to wholesale crack homes before. Houses that are literally just so dilapidated. The roof is literally out. There's rats everywhere. We can make lots of money doing that. This is not a video for it. But don't be scared if a property needs too much of repair costs. So to really do an extremely very educated guess when it comes to repairs, this is a small guide I do use. Again, I know exactly how much things cost, so I can kind of reverse engineer it from there. I'm going to show you how to do that a little later. But overall, when it comes to the 3 categories, so if the thing's perfect, no work, right? But if the property needs a light rehab, you know, let's say for an 1,000 square foot house, probably needs around $6,000, I would say, for like a very light rehab, and it really changes per square footage. But overall, if the thing is a very light rehab, you know, maybe it needs to replace a carpet here or there, and there's like a stain in like the kitchen they got to clean up. Around $5 to $10 a square foot is probably where you're going to want to be on the very light rehabs. Again, you start getting the 3,000 square foot range, it probably a little more than that. But again, this is very, very rough numbers. I'm assuming the property is at least 900 to 2,000 square feet on all these estimates. Now, when we go to the decent rehabs, you know, most properties need these. If we got to get a new roof, we got to replace the carpets. Most likely we have to repair something bad on the AC. Let's say there's no pool here, and overall it just needs pretty good rehab. You know, maybe you have to replace 1 bathroom or 1 kitchen. We're sort of in the $25 to $30 a square foot range. And then when it comes to the real dumps, this is the stuff. It's 2,000 square feet, but there's rats in there, there's cockroaches. You're literally inside there, like you're throwing up going inside the house. I've had it before. It's probably one of the best things masks have been, just because of disgusting houses like this. But you're looking at the 50 to 70 and sometimes $100 a square foot range. I've seen it before. Sometimes you just got to completely demolish some parts of the building and redo it. I mean, it's a complete mess. So those are really the estimates per square foot to do. To get the right square footage, don't go off of realtor.com or trulia.com or even Zillow. Go to your local property assessor or property appraiser site. They have the official information when they got the original deeds on there, so you can get the most up-to-date info. Find that with the square footage, and that's a rough estimate cost. If you really just want to do something really easy, like you're doing some virtual wholesaling and you really want to understand it, that would be what I would do. But if you really want to become the expert in your city, county, or field, I've had plenty of deals. Now, I'm going to say my last 100 deals, probably 5% of those deals I had to close by being the absolute expert in things to really build that little bit of rapport, the extra rapport to really get me to close that deal when there's like 8 other wholesalers or like 60 years old around me trying to get that deal. It's just being the actual expert on repair costs, being the expert in your field, knowing where the local high schools are, the street corners. Again, if you know exactly what the repairs are precisely, you could build more rapport and the seller could think you're a little more knowledgeable when it comes to your appointment. So to really get a good knowledge base on how much things cost, again, to replace a roof in Houston, Texas on a 1,000 square foot home is going to be completely different than doing one in Detroit. There's just different specifications. I mean, I'm in Florida. Roofs need a lot of permits, inspections. There's a higher quality of roofing that needs to be done in the state of Florida, especially in Dade County and places that get hit by hurricanes all the time. Versus if you're in Spokane, Washington, I mean, there's no hurricanes out there. So you really need to know where your local market sits when it comes to repair costs. So what I do recommend, if you really want to understand what the repairs are, again, my experience of knowing repairs in my local market is because I've done them before, flipping homes before. But if you really want to do it, this is how I kind of started out when I was 17. I used to call like 5 contractors and ask them these same questions. Hey, Mr. John. Hey, Mr. Smith. I'm actually looking to get into flipping some real estate and I'm doing some calculations and I think you're a really good contractor for me to use, but I just had some questions because I'm just doing some analysis before I buy some properties and I'm looking and I just want to understand what your price and ranges are for a 1,500 square foot home. And they're like, oh, sure. What is it? I'm like, well, what would the cost for a 1,500 square foot home if I had to replace the roof? And then, they'll give you the thing for there. And then for the next guy, you'll ask for 1,000 square foot. Then the next guy, the third guy, you'll ask for 2,000. Then you'll do 1,500 again, just kind of seeing where more or less their prices are. Probably call a roofer for that one. But for a contractor, I still ask about the roof because they'll give you some general questions too. Second there, I would actually ask about the kitchen, how much it will cost to replace a kitchen. Granite countertops, pretty standard. Next one, how much would it cost to replace, the average better bathroom for a 1,500 square foot home. And then ask how much would it cost to replace a bedroom with carpet, replace the carpet out there, or how much would it replace to completely do everything with hardwood floors. And then that's it on that call. Now, next, we got to understand there's more to estimating repair costs than what contractors can do. We got to call AC guys, see how much it will cost to replace the AC system. Call painters, how much it will cost to paint the outside of a 1,000 square foot home. Call lawn guys for landscaping. Window guys, if you've got to replace a window that's cracked. Drywall guys. Honestly, you got to call as many people as possible. Get your name out there. Call Craigslist. Really get some true estimates of what things will cost. So you as a real estate wholesaler will know exactly the prices of things. You'll be like a little wizard out there calculating. But again, if you don't know the repair costs in your market, it's not a big deal. And honestly, you don't even have to understand the cost of repairs to be successful. Another tip I can give you if you are completely at loss for words of how much a repair cost is going to be, I again recommend that you reverse engineer your deals. Now, what do I mean by reverse engineering? Reverse engineering your deal basically states if I have a seller here and he says the lowest he can sell this thing for is 80 grand and we can guess the thing's worth maybe 130, 140 on an ARV and we just don't know how much the thing is going to cost in repairs. What I would do is lock it up for the lowest price possible, build that absolute rapport with the person. And then what I do is just bring the cash buyer and see how much they're going to sell the deal to me for. It's called reverse engineering. And we can do that, or we can do the other part of reverse engineering is we have someone who's a trusted cash buyer. So if the cash buyer is not trusted, do that first method. But if I have a cash buyer, he's a realtor, he's bought in 5 properties from me before, and I'm at that $80,000 price with the seller, and I don't know how much they're going to sell it for, what I would do is go to that cash buyer that, first of all, you absolutely trust with a burning trust. Like, you have to absolutely trust this person and say, you know, I'm looking to actually get this property under contract. I really trust you. I want to sell you this deal. I don't know how much you'd be buying this for. Do you know what range you'd be at a house like this before I get it under contract? It needs a lot of work. And maybe you don't show them the pictures, but you just ask them the range, and maybe they'll say, you know what, if it needs a decent rehab, probably around 100. Now we know, because the guy's trusting us, now we know that since we're trusting them, that they'll pay $100,000 for that piece of property. Now we know if we get it locked up for 80, we make 20K. So the best case scenario is like, you know, lock it up for 80, make 20K. But then we know we can maybe try to push it to even 70 or 60 to make 40K. So that's another reverse engineering thing. If you don't know the price or what the ARV is around, that's a really good way to actually get good prices without actually estimating any repair costs at all. I don't recommend you bring in cash buyers to the property without getting it locked up. But if you're at a situation where you don't even know, that's what I would do. And lastly, if you're in a virtual market, let's say you're doing virtual stuff in Memphis, go call people in Memphis and ask what repair costs are. So you're the local expert in there. It seems counterintuitive for the virtual stuff if you're just trying to get locked up, sold really quickly. But to know the repair costs too, especially if you're doing like a virtual walkthrough on a property, it'll help you a lot more if you got boots on the ground and you're trying to actually get your virtual deal sold. You can talk to cash buyers. Hey, Zach, how much is the repair cost? I can sell them, probably around 10 to 15,000. It'll help you so much. So gaining the general knowledge to understand how much to estimate on repair costs will give you the slight edge for as a real estate wholesaler to help you get your deals sold, how to get them locked up for the lowest price possible, and lastly, to just make profits as a real estate wholesaler. I truly appreciate you guys watching this video. If you got any value from it, please smash that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it.